So Mangrove showing at the BFI London Film Festival. We're going to review it today. And look who it is. It's Sean Vickers from Unflopped. Good to see you again, Sean.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Phil. How are you?
Yeah, really well, really well. I'm really loving the BFI London Film Festival this year. I think, and we've mentioned this before in the previous video, the programme is superb.
You have to get your mind into seeing a lot of film. Even as film lovers, you have to get your mind to seeing a lot of film, but it's such a pleasure and a joy.
And especially so, bearing in mind we can actually watch these films in the comfort of our own home. I do think it's an important place to see films, though, on the big screen, if you can, but we haven't got much choice at the moment.
No, I know. So we are. But yeah, thumbs up to the BFI and to hashtag LFF. Really great, really fab.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. So Mangrove today. Now, I haven't actually seen this, but you're going to tell us all about it.
I am. So obviously, this is one of the big movies from LFF this year. It's directed by Steve McQueen, who a lot of you will know very well from Hunger and Shame, 12 Years a Slave, more recently Widows. It's actually a set of 5 films that he calls small acts, which are all basically around the West Indian experience in London between the 60s and the 80s. And he's created 5 films, of which Mangrove is the 5th, that talks to this story. And Mangrove really follows the life of Frank Critchlow, who runs a cafe called the Mangrove in Notting Hill, which becomes a centre really for people from across the West Indies to come together. So it becomes more like a community feel. And during that period of the 60s, of late 60s, so he opened the cafe in 1968, what is very evident is that there was a lot of discrimination and a lot of harassment from the local police. And so the Mangrove continues to get raided over and over again for no reason at all. And at that point, the more political sense of the community steps in. So Darcus Howe, the late Darcus Howe, who we will all remember from our childhood from TV, he's in the movie. He's played by Malachi Kirby. Brilliant. And then Altheia Jones-LeCointe, who was the head of the Black Panthers movement, who's played phenomenally by Letitia Wright, come together basically to kind of, in some ways, politicize Frank, because that's not his vibe, but to basically say this is the cornerstone of the community and we need to stand behind it. And so Darcus and Altheia organize this demonstration to basically say this is not okay, and they just march in the streets. The Mangrove 9 are the 9 people that are arrested, and they go to the Old Bailey. And interestingly, Darcus and Altheia represent themselves, which is almost unheard of. And it follows the story really of that moment in time and the injustice. And you see the injustice on the streets. You see the level of discrimination within the police force. And even at the Old Bailey, there's moments at the Old Bailey where you're like, this can't be happening. It's here. This is the cornerstone of our kind of judicial and legal system. But it's so interesting about the constructs of the system, as we could call it, and how the system is so heavily weighted. But it is absolutely phenomenal. I will use my favorite word, powerful.
Yeah.
And it's actually so far my film of the festival.
Fantastic. Well, you did a brilliant job of telling the story. I think even if you didn't know about the story, but you know about Steve McQueen, you'll know from previous movies that he's released, like Shame as an example, and also 12 Years a Slave, obviously. He has a really good way of bringing something hard-hitting to the big screen and the small screen as well. Don't forget, obviously, if you're watching it, at home. Is this the same sort of style? Is it hard-hitting?
It is hard-hitting. It's interesting. So Small Acts is interesting what he calls these 5 films, just from a West Indian proverb, which means together we are strong. And all of the 5 films in Small Acts are kind of word of mouth, so they're stories that he has heard when he was growing up, one of which is the story of Frank Critchlow and the Mangrove 9, which his father told him because he knew one of the people that knew the Mangrove 9. And so all these are kind of word of mouth stories that pass through. So it is hard hitting, it is very real, but it's a phenomenal piece of cinematography and cinema. The production designer Helen Scott does an incredible job. The look and feel of the film, of like kind of late 60s London in Notting Hill, is incredible. So for me, it blew my socks off. Applause from my side on this one. It was really quite fantastic.
So marks out of 10.
It's going to be a 9 for me. It's probably my highest today on Boys on Film, but it's a 9.
Amazing. And obviously, there's such a buzz about it because he's such a respected creator of cinema, because it's the sort of thing that not everybody can do well. It's especially when you bear in mind the subject. The subject is, you've got to be careful with it. You've got to do it properly.
Of course. And so incredibly special. As I mentioned, the cast is fantastic. For me, standout was Letitia Wright, who I love from, Black Mirror, and I love from Black Panther. She is phenomenal as Altheia Jones-LeCointe, just quite phenomenal, and just so incredible. So I was already a fan, but now I'm like fanboying over Letitia Wright.
Amazing. So it's Mangrove, 9 out of 10 from Sean Vickers from Unflopped. I was going to ask you about Unflopped because you had a big event actually that's been postponed because of the lockdown. Lots of people are doing similar things. They've had to kind of put stuff onto 2021. This is still happening though, right, for next year?
We were due to do a live show at Shoreditch Town Hall with our good friends at Shoreditch Town Hall in November. We have taken the kind of heavy heart decision to not go ahead with that live show. It's just not right. And so we're going to postpone that until next year. It's not, it's just a see you soon. So we will definitely do that. We want to do it properly. We love our listeners, and therefore we want to give it the respect and integrity that it needs. And at the moment, we don't think because of the climate, we can do that. So a little sad. We're all a bit kind of like sad face emoji. But we will definitely be bringing that live show to London next year.
It's really hard though, isn't it? But I think you're doing the right thing, because I think people will respect you for doing that also. I think it's such a difficult climate. I think, lots of people are doing the same sort of thing, but I think it's the right decision. Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, luckily for our listeners, we will be back soon. We've been having our summer holidays, which has been basically staying at home. But we are about to kind of come to the end of season 3. So we'll come back during October, and then we'll run all the way up to Christmas. Brilliant. So we are excited. We've had a little break, but we're excited to get back on the microphones.
Yes, big things to come.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Siri's just gone off actually on my phone, so I apologise to anyone that might have heard that. He's trying to communicate with me, and I'm going to put him away now.
Siri's got a view, we should listen. Everyone's point is important.
It's always good to see you, Sean. I can't wait for the next review, which we're going to do soon, covering the BFI London Film Festival. Thank you to everybody for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more content. We've got lots coming in the next few weeks. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.